correctly with the correct amount.
D20 Radio, where gamers roll.
www.d20radio.com.
Welcome to Me and Steve Talk RPGs, a podcast where me and my friend Steve...
We're playing games this time.
A full min left with a mage who's cast barrier. Then you have a Sarge who's got a great sword that no one has managed to hurt yet. And then there's a Karlax is actively fighting.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a melee group that's been harassing the Archaeologist Guild members. And Prang had just bamfed back in on top of Karlax. Karlax was trying to fight the Sarge. I don't remember what the other two of you guys were doing. I think Barney was still up top shooting down at people.
Yeah, I was shooting arrows.
And then I think Strong Shoulders. No, not that one. Groth. Didn't you try to fly again and fail?
Probably.
All right. So we'll start at the top of the initiative, which is not really great for you guys.
We're going to roll much better tonight. Just watch.
Right.
It's always good to have hope.
I'm an optimist.
I know, you keep trying to fly. Your guys' initiatives are shit.
He's like R. Kelly. He believes he can fly.
I believe I can touch the sky. Think
All.
about it every night and day. This mage is going to cause fire to rain hell on you. All right. So the mage is maintaining that spell. Oh, so the mage is going to reach into their pocket. Is going to look at Barney, that is across from them, and is going to try to throw this object at you.
All right.
Because I'm burning up my strain pool. You guys are at... I think we said you're at medium range. I can't remember what we've been saying. So, no, we'll say you're at short range. Boom. All right. Well, so this grenade is going to bounce off the ground near you, but it's going to explode and it's going to blow up a bunch of dust and particulates, so it's going to be harder for you to act on your next turn. So you're going to have a setback on the next thing you do.
Sounds good.
All right. You guys now have one PC slot.
So where did I end up last week?
I have no idea. Flip a story point and you can be wherever the heck you want.
Well, I'd been aiming to go after the group that was nearby that was targeting our guys. Because originally I was thinking about aiming at the ones that were shooting. But then I realized, these guys are starting to attack our guys. I guess we better go to them.
Oh, that sounds right.
So
you must be in melee range of the group of melee Kalaris combatants.
Yeah, I believe he was down there in the pile with me and the sergeant.
Cool. Yeah. So there's three some look more lionid, some look more like wolves, some kind of look more like panthers, but there's this catfolk kind of all around you, all armed with a different type of melee weapons that are harassing both the guild members as well as Karlax, and now Prang, who has appeared out of nowhere.
I call out the sergeant and challenge him to personal combat.
He's like in the middle of a fight with Karlax, but I think he's gonna kind of just chuckle. I seem to be killing everyone else. Might as well take you on too.
All right, take a swing at it.
All right. So it is going to be 2 purple, 1 black, because he's got melee defense.
Okay, you said 2 purple, 1 black.
Yeah.
Haha!
Nice.
Turn those advantages into a crit, right?
Each weapon has a different crit rating. I don't know what yours is.
Let me double check.
Usually it's 3 or 4.
It's 3, darn. But the damage on it is 7, so
7 plus the 1 success is 8.
8, you said?
Yep.
Cool. So I think you charge in, you've created this like mud consistency on the ground. So I think you kind of like drag your axe up through that. And as you swing up, you're kind of like throwing mud that's kind of becoming razor-like and slashing out at him. And he's managing to deflect just a little bit with this great sword. But you do strike several glancing blows against him.
can the advantage knock him down?
Not one advantage is not enough to knock him
I
down.
had 2 advantage.
2 advantage. It's usually 3 advantage to knock someone down.
Okay. I guess pass the advantage on to whoever's next.
Cool. All right. So it is actually his turn. He's gonna look down at his uniform that you've managed to.
Should I say whoever on our side is next?
Yeah, that's fine. So he's gonna look at his uniform where you've cut it and kind of like dab at it and kind of look at you. Huh. I'm glad I finally have a worthy opponent. This, however, was my favorite uniform. So I'm afraid you're going to have to pay. And they are. Do you have any ranged defense? Or melee defense, excuse me.
No. I just have a pair of one soak for armor. Total 4 soak. No defense.
Oh, that's disappointing. All right, so he starts trying to attack you, but you've gotten in close, so he's not able to use his full blade. So he's trying to like use this great sword, but it's in very close, and so he's going to use his maneuver to hop back and assumes a defensive posture, kind of holding the blade across his body against his arm to give space so he can better attack you.
Okay.
The ranged stormtroopers are going to try to shoot Barney.
Oh boy.
You got this.
Alrighty. Let's hope.
Okay.
Step 1, don't suck.
That usually is the first step.
All right. So they are hitting you for 8 damage as well as a strain. So we see them, their long guns are leveled on you. That thing just exploded near you, so like smoke is like in your eyes, and I think that kind of makes you stand up a little bit from your defenses. And these guns just start pounding the area. You somehow get missed by several of these explosive shots, but one of them blows up the cover in front of you, leaving you exposed for the next one to strike you in the shoulder.
You said it dealt 6. You said it dealt 8 damage and 1 strain damage, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy, I'm down then.
You subtract
Because I was already at 6. My wound threshold was already at 6. My total threshold is 7. So that's like well and above my wound threshold.
Okay.
Even with 2 soak.
All right. Do you have any critical damage already on you?
Can't remember off the top of my head. I know that I have 6 current damage out of 7 threshold before the attack.
Okay, so you're gonna get knocked down. So you're gonna take a crit for being almost killed. I don't remember if you have a crit. So you are stunned.
I'm stunned, even though my current wound threshold is now 12, or it's 12 with a threshold of 7.
Well, in this case, it's less of a you experienced a critical wound. It's more of, in this case, it's an easy critical to heal, so that you carry this trauma with you until you get healed. And in this case, it would have been you can't perform an action until next turn. So this is a temporal thing, so that would have expired.
Oh.
But anyways, so yeah, so you have stunned, which is an easy crit on you.
Yeah, just make sure you track your crits, because the next one you take is going to add plus 10 to it.
Oof.
Crits ain't a joke when they start to stack up.
Yeah.
All right. So you are down.
Mhm.
So next up, it is going to be 2 PC slots.
Well, I'll go if no one else wants to start it off.
Yeah, sounds good.
I think seeing as Groth has decided to engage the captain of the guard, Karlax will then turn his attention to the minions.
Yeah.
And so I think he just kind of tries to literally go crack some heads, like kabonk.
Love it.
Um, which would be brawl,
Brawl.
correct?
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. So it's
And I
going to be
have a
2 difficulty.
boost from Groth, correct?
Correct. Yep. 2 difficulty, 1 boost.
Okay.
You could use your maneuver because you're already in combat range of them. You get a
Yeah,
second boost die.
I like that. I like that idea. I shall do that. All right. All right. That cancels that. So I have a single success and 3 advantage.
Nice. All right. So how much damage are you doing?
I believe brawl is brawn. Is it straight brawn or is it brawn plus 1?
Unless you have an item, it's just straight brawn. But it's going to be
So
plus your number of successes.
so 4 damage,
So 4 damage.
but 3 advantage.
So I would encourage you to consider that strain against minions is basically damage. So you could make this do 7 damage.
Actually, I kind of like that because, well, what I was is he literally, they're looking somewhere else. He walks up behind a couple of them and just literally smacks their heads off each other. So I like that idea.
Yeah, 100%. Okay. So you're doing 7 damage. So you're actually going to be killing one of them. So do you want to describe that or would you like me to?
Uh, you can go ahead.
All right. So I think that as the captain steps back and enters their defensive stance, you kind of have a moment to like catch your breath. And you kind of look around and you see that the melee Karlax have actually turned their backs to you, thinking that you were distracted fighting their sergeant. It's actually a sergeant, not a captain, but whatever. And you are able to walk up weirdly quietly because there's mud everywhere, and so there's tons of sloshing, lots of noise. Props to Groth's spell that he cast at the beginning of all this. And so you're able to grab 2 of them by their backs, slam them into each other, and you throw one. Not realizing your strength and how close you were to the edge of this island, one of them goes sailing out. And if we cared, we could probably look and answer the question of, do cats always land on their feet? But I don't think anyone cares that much because it's the next PC's turn. So who wants to go next?
I guess I'll go because the other one's bleeding.
Yeah, I'm.
So as you've kind of bamfed, I think you actually technically landed on top of Karlax. You hear direction kind of whisper in your mind. This place feels very familiar. Try to touch me to one of those terminals.
Like in the APC or like I forget. Are we still in the APC or did we make it out of the APC?
You bamfed out of the APC.
You're right. Sorry. So there we have 3 levels of action happening. We have the top level, that's the APC, and that's the island that Barney is bleeding out on. The island, mid-level is APC, so that's like a step down. They're kind of like shooting up, and they haven't tried to maneuver a lot, but it's still chained. Then below that is the island that you guys are all on. You fell into that mid-level APC, bamfed out, and then you returned, and you said you wanted to end up on Karlax. You kind of like appeared on top of him to help him.
Okay.
And you guys, when you built this island, some of you guys got, actually, I think it was one of you guys said that there's some kind of like system or some kind of benefit to this location. I think it was Hagan who was like, hey, this place has some kind of like something in place that could be beneficial to us.
Yeah. So there's a terminal nearby. You said, right?
Sure, touch me to it, or he gives you get it like an emotion, like you feel like he wants to be closer to something on this, and you can tell me what that is.
Sure. So these are actual like terminals that come out of the ground.
Sure.
They look like natural formations, but then they'll
Sure.
rise up. So I get off Karlax, and I use maneuver to go over to this terminal. There's like a stepping stone next to it, and I put the dagger right into this terminal.
Love it. I think you're gonna have to take a strain to, or how are you avoiding the mud? Because I feel like you hate mud because it's wet dirt.
Yes, it is. So I have fleet of paw, so I could
Love
do
it.
double maneuver to move around it.
Love it. So I think you kind of like almost like probably run on the shoulders a little bit of some of the archaeologist guild, because from staying at the top of Karlax, who's now like engaging the Kalaris minions, you actually see that they'd been slowly unearthing something, and that's kind of where they got ambushed. And it's not what you would call a terminal. It looks fancier than what you are used to. It looks almost futuristic compared to a lot of the tech. There's clearly, so I can't remember what we agreed on, but there are runes, which are the magical inscriptions on the crystals. And then I came up with a name, I forget it. But anyway, so there's a lot of those inscriptions, the magical inscriptions on this thing that doesn't necessarily look like it is runic or a crystal itself. But there's clearly this kind of like top place that they've been very clearly, meticulously trying to reveal. And I think you're able to like run on their shoulders over to this thing, and you aggressively like how do you do this?
Yeah, I'm like
All
very
right.
aggressive.
And I think you suddenly are just kind of flooded with all this extra information. Direction kind of like feels bigger to you. It's almost like he's regained part of himself. It's like, oh, this is where a large portion of my awareness was being stored. Oh, I have the ability to do. What is the thing he can do?
So there is a defense mechanism. So that thing
Sure.
they were clearing off is basically a defensive unit
Sure.
that can activate using what he did.
Cool. What is it?
Have you
Terry,
seen?
I can't tell if you're sick. Oh, go ahead. You have an idea?
Yeah, I had an idea. So have you seen Atlantis?
Hell yeah.
So those golems that come out, it's one of those.
The golems that come
Yeah,
out.
the
When
stone
in-
golems where they have the defense that make the force field when they clap their hands.
Oh, not Stargate Atlantis, the Disney Atlantis.
Yeah,
Got
yeah.
it. Okay, all right. I'm now on the same page as you. My bad. Yeah, so I think up out of the mud, actually stand up, and they look very, very similar to Karlax. They're crystalline in nature. You see this pulsation within them, and you feel almost like direction is guiding them. But you also have the sense they don't have a lot of energy left. They've been dormant for a long time. This location doesn't necessarily have its own power source, so they're kind of running on batteries.
Okay.
So I think you get the sense that you can direct them, but you don't necessarily have a sense of how much they can do for, or how long they're going to be able to function for you. So your action is going to be basically commanding these what do I call them? We'll call them bioroids. These bioroids or crystalroids to function for you. So what is their action? What do they do?
So their action is going to be to try to get in between the archaeologists and the Kalaris, like create a physical barrier.
Just do that, not like attack or anything. They're just purely defensive.
Purely defensive.
Okay. So they kind of like stand up. Like a couple people may have even been standing on some of them, and they just kind of lumber up and like kind of get into this resting posture, like in front of the guild. But after kind of doing like this sweeping arm gesture, that's more pushing back than really damaging the remaining melee Kalaris. And then their arms kind of like come down and they almost form like a fence or a wall between the Kalaris and the guild. Cool. All right, I'm going to take Barney's turn. Unless
What?
any of you guys have a really cool, not Barney's turn, Kulweg's turn. Unless any of you guys have a really cool idea, I have a fun idea.
I say
Well,
go
given
for it.
what he does, I imagine he would try to use one of his healing grenades on Barnelby, but that was kind of mundane.
So the problem is right now is that Kulweg climbed down onto the island that you guys are all on. So to throw a grenade no, I have something funner.
Okay.
I'm only going to use one light side point, even though if I was GMing myself, I'd probably require more. Kulweg remembers that he has been experimenting with a new type of explosive that might be able to temporarily short out runic technology. So in essence, he reaches into his bag and pulls out an EMP grenade. And he is going to throw that at the APC.
What could possibly go wrong?
Do any of you guys want to roll for him? Or do you want me to just do it?
Terry, go ahead.
Oh boy! All right, what am I rolling?
You're going to be rolling a 1 yellow, 2 green, 2 purple, and I'll let you take a boost die for aiming.
Right on. 1 yellow, 2 green, 2 purple, and a boost.
Mm-hmm. What the hell?
Alright.
He's not maxed out strain, so take a second boost.
Cool. All right. There it is. I was rolling stealth because that was the only one that matched up with
Oh, okay.
what you mentioned.
I
That's
was
the
like,
only reason
hey,
why, because I
man,
don't know.
you
I
fooled
don't
me.
know
You
how to
didn't
do custom rolls. That's
Perfect.
why.
So you see this little gnome kind of like reach into their bag, pull out a grenade. They kind of look at it and they get a little shocked by it, and they like almost drop it, and then they kiss it, and then like double hand throw it up at this APC, and it hits the bottom, and you see it kind of like shatter out. A defying gravity shatters out and like collects on the bottom of this APC, and then it just kind of go poop, and then you see the APC's like rune start faltering, and the ABC starts falling towards the ground. So that's only 2 of the advantages. What would you like the second 2 advantages to be?
There's a group of ranged Kalaris on the ground as well, correct?
Melee clerics on the ground, ranged in the APC, mage in the APC, sergeant with a giant sword on the ground.
Okay, that's all. Never mind.
Can the 2 advantage be used to mess with the the mage on the APC?
100%. What do you
Just
think?
completely. I mean, it's obviously slamming down into the ground. He's going to get knocked either in face first into the mud and have to pick himself up from prone, or like maybe even damage him a little bit. I'm not sure. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah.
Something
Go
like
ahead.
that, but to get him a little off our back.
Yeah, 100%. Well, we didn't even establish if the APC is able to hit this island or not.
Well, it
Because
can't go too far
right.
because it's tethered.
yeah, so it might swing down around and come back up or something.
Oh god.
I'm just saying, we never established that it was flying over the island that you guys are on. So it is not yet falling. It is going to probably go into free fall next turn. But you see it's shorting out and it's about to start. And so the pilot's going to have to make a check.
Wait.
Cool.
Oh no.
Wait, if it falls over the side, aren't those sharks still out there? The space
Oh
sharks?
yeah. That would be fun.
We just chummed the water with one of the minions.
For a
Yeah.
light side point and those 2 advantages, we could also say a shark like starts attacking them.
Let's do it. I will.
I thought we
That
wanted the
sounds-
sled.
Steve, why do you got to bring logic into a moment where I'm trying to make you guys forget that stuff? Like, come on, man. Don't spoil my fun. But for sure, Terry, at the minimum, the mage still had a spell going. And we'll say that this disrupts their focus, so the barrier spell the mage has faltered.
Yeah.
The pilot is still going to be able to make a roll to try to crash land this APC, but the windshield and stuff was compromised, as is this tow cable. So it's definitely going to be very difficult for them to do so.
Oh boy.
Cool. Barney, what do you want to do?
Lie dead. Nearly dead.
Perfect.
Lie perfectly, just like.
Well, it is now their turn. So I think the ship is starting to drop at this point, and there is going to be a piloting roll. Oh, we didn't use pilot. We'll say ride. Gosh. So we're gonna say, so I think I'm gonna upgrade it once because I don't have stats for this thing, so I just want to be very transparent that I am just making up a lot of this. So I'm gonna say that it was a moderately maneuverable thing before, but it's tethered, it's shorted out, the windscreen was compromised. So I'm gonna upgrade it once and give 2 setbacks. How's that sound to people?
Sounds fair.
Sure.
All right. So they are not managing to crash land safely. Tell me what's happening.
I feel like it kind of starts to drift out, and then the tow cable catches, and it then swing hammers back in somehow.
Hitting harder, 100%. So I think the pilot, also didn't realize it was tow cabled. So swerves, gets janked, comes flying back, crashes, hits the mud, careens through the mud, throwing up a wave of mud, stops, teetering on the edge. I think one of the ranged people is going to go flying off the edge. You see the mage holding on, but barely. Cool. Love that. Great narrative there, Steve. Cool. So you guys now have 1 turn. Spoiler, the mages and the sergeant are going to be going next.
I think that Grok should handle the sergeant, right?
That makes the most sense to me.
Groth?
Sure. Take another swing at the sergeant.
Love it. It's going to basically be the same roll.
That's what I like to hear.
Unless you want to try to do some magic.
I'm already at 8 of my 12 strains, so.
Do it. Give in to the dark side.
And you say I still have the setback as well?
I don't remember where the setback is from, so no.
I had 2 yellow, a green, and 2 purple, and a setback.
No setback. Oh no, wait, no, sorry. He has a melee defense. That's where the setback is from. So 1 setback. But you have your maneuver that you could use to give yourself a boost.
I will do that, yeah. So 2 yellow, a green, 2 purple, a blue, and a black.
Love it.
Love it more. 5 success,
Holy
1 threat.
shit.
Oh.
All right. Well, remind me again how much damage you're doing.
That makes a total of 12 damage plus a threat.
All right. That's a thing. That's a thing.
That's a whooping.
Told you we were going to roll better than last week.
That's not saying much, bro. All right. So you said
I'm fine with that low bar.
12 damage with a threat. So you're doing 9 damage. Holy crud. All right. Yeah. Do you want to describe this or you want me to?
I take a slash at him, and he tries to get his sword up, but he only gets it barely up, and instead the sword gets driven down, and actually it's his own sword that gets him in the leg.
Yeah, totally. And I think you grab it with the head of your axe and yank it so he stumbles off balance. And you check him in the gut with the heft of your axe. And you manage to kind of do this shove of your axe blade into him, and he's got this giant just rend in his stomach, and he coughs up a little blood. Well, it seems I finally did find a worthy opponent. Oh, this is gonna be fun.
Okay, so we got the Black Knight here. It's just a flesh wound.
And the sergeant is going to retaliate. I don't know if you remember, but last time he tapped his blade and it started glowing with frost on it. And he kind of does this little almost boxer 2-step type thing. And he's going to get a boost die for that threat of yours. All right. Where'd it go? There it is. You don't have any defense, do you?
No defense, force up.
All right, so he retaliates. So the great sword is that plus that. That's 7 damage plus 1. He's doing 8 damage, but he's able to activate his sword's ability, which is going to be a damage over time. So he is kind of like bleeding out of his gut. His sword kind of reignites in this like frothy frost. He actually touches it to his wound on his chest, and you hear it almost like cauterize his wound, and he like grits through it. And then he like almost does this like slide towards you in the mud, bringing his sword up. You manage to parry just in time, but then he does this stab move, catching you just on the inside of your guard, striking you deep along the side of your chest. And as it hits you, you feel this cold seep into you. You feel your arm become a little sluggish. You are going to be taking 2 strain, the 8 damage, and you have frostbite that is slowly starting to creep from your wound, consuming you for the next turn. You will take an additional I forget how damage over time works. I think it's the damage of the base damage of the item, so that should be 7 damage you're going to be taking again.
Okay, and that was 8 damage after my 4 soak?
No. 8 damage period. So you're only doing 4 damage then. So 2 strain, 4 damage after soak, and then next turn this like frostbite wound on your side is going to start creeping and doing more damage to you.
Okay.
Cool. So the mage, I think the mage is actually going to like hop off of the Claris ABC, which causes it to fall off the edge, and the ship kind of like snags, and then you hear it kind of falling and explodes. And the mage is going to look at Kulweg, and is going to pull out a rune and is going to rub it, and this ilky smoke starts coalescing over it, and you see the mage kind of smirk and then do this like swiping forwards gesture, and these daggers appear made from this smoke and go flying towards I guess Kulweg's not here. We're gonna say it goes flying towards let's say Prang. They're gonna go flying towards you, Prang.
All right. Do I get anything for the giant golems in the way now?
Yeah, we'll give you 2 ranged defense.
Okay. I'm also going to take a strain
Okay.
for my sidestep.
Okay.
So they upgrade the difficulty of this check by 1.
Ooh, that is rude.
It's pretty
All
awesome.
right, for you. All right. So I gotta take so they have an item, so they're not having to upgrade the range. This is a lightning, so that's a +1. So that's gonna be it. So it's gonna be 1 red, 1 purple. You have range defense. Boom. Okay. So you are taking base 4 plus 3, so that's 7. I am going to use my Triumph to activate this. So this gets the auto fire quality. So I get to use this equal to my ranks in lore. My ranks in lore are 2. So it gets an auto fire rating of 2. So I get to hit you 2 more times, or a total of 2 times. I don't actually know that answer. So let's say it hits you 2 times. Well, that seems kind of weak. Well, no, I guess because if you have a rank 1. Oh, I'm sorry. It's a stun quality of my knowledge lore. So that's twice. And it gets the auto fire quality. So it's going to hit you. It's going to hit you twice and stun you for 2. That makes more sense. So that is 7 damage doubled coming at you with a stun of 2.
A question in this regard. With
Yes,
the auto fire, does he apply his soak for each attack?
I believe so. It's been a while since I've used
Auto
Rapid
fire just
fire.
adds an additional hit.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So you would, yeah.
So if the attack hits, the attacker can trigger auto fire by spending 2 advantage. The auto fire can be triggered multiple times. Each time the attacker triggers auto fire, it deals an additional hit to the target. It's not double damage; it's just additional hit.
Oh, okay. So I wouldn't get my successes. I just do the base. So it'd be an additional 4.
No, it just as an additional, whatever the hit is. So
So the hit is 7.
and each hit deals base damage plus the number of on the check. So yeah, I guess it is. I guess it is doubled then.
Technically, it's double damage, but it's hitting individually.
Yep.
So your soak is applying to both.
Okay, so I have a soak of 3, so I reduce it by 6, 14 by 6.
8.
So I take 8. Ouch.
And you're stunned for 2, but that burns the triumph and the advantage that they rolled. So these smoky, oily darts have formed kind of all around them, and just periodically they're just making these gestures, and the darts are just going flying. Some of the golem or some of the bioroids are kind of interceding, blocking some of the darts, but several make it through, striking Prang. You're holding on to direction almost even as these things are hitting you away, almost moving you away from him, but you manage to stay latched to him.
Okay. It's like unconsciously gripping him.
Yeah. Well, you get the sense that as you're touching him, you're controlling the bioroids. And so if you lose that connection.
Yep.
All right. So that's their 2 turns. Who wants to go?
Do we have 2 or just 1 right now?
You guys actually have, so they're gone. So you guys have 2 now. Actually, no, I'm sorry. You guys all go because their 3 have gone.
So what was the stun rating?
2.
So I am stunned, not taking stun, like not the stun quality.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, so it's any of the 3 remaining of us go.
Correct.
And you and I are pretty much the 2 on our feet.
Well, to kind of play off how you narrated my last
And Terry, you
act.
can do Kulweg if you want.
Yeah, sure. I mean, seeing as right now I'm lying, he's like twitching.
How you kind of narrated that I kind of grabbed 2 of them and flung one of them. Seeing the APC sort of teetering at the edge, I think Karlax like adjusts his grip slightly to like, so if he's got his one hand on the shoulder of the guy, he like grips down like by his belt and just heaves the guy to like try and land him in the vicinity of the other side of the APC.
Love it. Yeah. So I think even though the mage is like stepping off to do their attack. And so it's like almost going over. There's 2 more range guys still technically there, like popping them to start shooting. Go ahead and make me that brawl check.
All right. Anybody care if I upgrade it?
No, it's cool. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay.
We have enough story points to do cool shit.
Well, good news is I have 1 success, 3 advantage, and a triumph.
100%. For how many advantages do you have?
3.
3 advantages. Oof. So for either your advantages or your triumph, I will say that you are able to knock the APC off the edge and send all of those people out of this game.
Okay. So how about we I'll kind of spin them together if this is okay. So how about what happens is the trajectory, it was supposed to be a lob, but it was a little bit flatter. And so it just kind of clips the mage.
Sure.
And whatever it is that his casting focus gets caught on the guy.
Ooh.
And it knocks him down, the mage down, but it takes the guy, the APC and the mage's focus over the edge.
Ooh. You're an asshole. But that is a beautiful use of a triumph. Totally. So it's like this line drive. The guy like slides on the mud, clips the mage, like taking this. And as that focus goes, like the remaining daggers start disappearing. And the APC just goes boom and falls over the edge. Cool. Who is next.
I just realized I don't know any of Kulweg's stuff.
He
or I don't have
randomly
access to
makes
it.
shit up.
Yes.
He randomly says, "Hey, I have this weird idea for a grenade," and then he disappears for a while and like doesn't talk, and then pops up again and does something weird again.
I'm gonna let you in on a little secret, Terry. Knowing Steve, you have as many notes for what his character has as he does.
Fair enough.
I
All right.
disagree. I think we know who has more notes, and it's not Steve.
No, I'm saying Terry has more notes for Steve's character than Steve does.
Oh, sorry. Then yes, I agree.
All right.
Because I don't think Steve has any notes.
You
You could try to throw a healing grenade up. That'd be very hard.
Yeah,
to do.
I'll throw a healing grenade at me at Barnelby.
Okay. That is going to be. So you're throwing up that. So we're gonna upgrade it once. We'll say that you use your maneuver to climb kind of back up to get closer. So you're still gonna be short. It's still gonna be medium range. So we're gonna say 1 red, 1 purple.
What would be his role?
It is what did I make you roll last time? was your
1 yellow, 2 green.
Would that be an athletics or
It's technically it's a ranged light, and his ranged light sucks, even though he wants to throw a lot of grenades. So I'm kind of just helping you guys out. So we're gonna say 1 yellow, 2 green, 1 red, 1 purple. He doesn't have the strain, so you can't aim.
Okay, no worries. Well, roll with that. 1 success. 1 singular success. Oh my gosh, that could have gone so bad in so many ways.
Yeah, it could have landed on the bad guys.
Right.
So I don't remember if you've had to use a potion yet this game.
Not to my knowledge, no. I think it was pretty feast or famine as far as surviving an attack.
Then you're healed 6.
Sweet. That brings me to 6 total wounds. Huh. Reggie.
I forget in this, does it work like where it brings you back to 0, or do you got to heal whatever you were down?
At 0, you go unconscious.
Right.
Not
So
sure
you don't take extra damage, basically, right? You don't track the overage.
Kind of, because don't you? If you double your wound threshold in damage, then you're dead.
I thought it was in 1 hit though, but I'll check.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I almost doubled my wound threshold then.
Exceeding
almost
wound
dead.
threshold.
I was 2 away.
Spoilers to last session.
Right? Last session for me, apparently. For Barnelby.
I don't know how to tell you this, Terry, but we took a vote and
No, I'm voted off the island.
Didn't go well.
The tribe has spoken.
Can I see your character sheet? Thanks.
Right? Just rip.
Oh, you suddenly
Oh,
can't.
Lord.
Steve,
You can't
just had
log
a little
into
PTSD
Foundry
from that
VTT.
statement there.
You're just locked out of Foundry VTT. Oh, hey
Right.
guys, I can't seem to get into the game anymore. What's going on, guys?
You are right, Ben. If you double, you should track overage, and if you're double.
Yeah, but I'm not a dick. I'm not going to make them attack you guys while you're down.
Thank you.
All right. So it's top of the order. So it's their turn.
Wait, I didn't go.
Oh, okay. What do you want to do?
You said all of us would go again.
No, I forgot.
Okay.
I forgot that Prang hadn't gone yet.
So just for clarification, so I'm staggered is what's happened.
Correct.
Right. So
no action.
So how does that work with direction?
I don't know. What are you trying to do?
I was just trying to direct the golem, so I don't know if that's a maneuver or an actual action.
Depends on what you try to do, I guess.
I'm just trying to maintain their position.
Oh, that's boring. You can do that.
I know. I think anything else would be considered an action. If I was trying to make them aggressive, it would be considered an action.
Unless it's really cool, then no bets.
So the thing I was going to have them do was then to raise up and just slap the ground to try to create almost like a earthquake wave to
Like
knock like a
kind of like thunder wave almost.
yeah.
Yeah, totally. That's cool. I think it's gonna power them down to do this.
Yeah. Like it's kind of like a last ditch effort.
Yeah. More of depleted than they're dying, if that makes sense. Because like if you find ways to repower them, they're still going to be alive and functional. But it's just like they've used up the rest of their kind of energy.
No, my last ditch effort though.
Oh, your last ditch effort. That makes much more sense. Okay. Yeah, so I think you, as you're taking damage, your thoughts aren't for yourself. It's not as more of these daggers seem to be coming flying at you because you can't really see that the mage has been hit. Your thoughts aren't to yourself. Your thoughts aren't to something shiny or some antique artifact. Your thoughts are how can you in direction, help others.
Yeah, so I imagine my eyes they just start like instead of cat's eyes, the pupils turn into runes essentially.
Oh, cool. Yeah. And we'll figure out what it is because I have no idea what I want it to be. But like you in direction suddenly like click, and you guys you just have this deeper bond. And in this moment, the shield bioroids kind of bring their arms up. They almost kind of create these balls of energy, and then they clap into their chest, and it creates this and this wave that just washes out, pushing the melee group. Ooh, make me a roll. Let's see if this hits the mage. Missing your teammates, sweeping Karlax off of this island.
All right, what would you like me to roll for
I
this?
have no idea. What would you like to roll for this?
I think it's probably some kind of like I think it's going to be a lore of some kind roll.
Lore, I could see discipline.
Feels like knowledge forbidden.
Knowledge forbidden works for me. Like I said, I think I can't remember if we have discipline. Potentially even cool.
They all suck for me, so we'll see what happens.
What about runic tech? I mean, that kind of applies too. I know that's kind of my special thing, but
how would Karlax
unless-
support Prang in this moment?
The only other thing I would argue for is survival because it's a knee-jerk reaction to
that's a valid point.
like a primalistic instinct that overtook me.
I want you to roll well. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to poll the group about how they can support you in this moment. The reason being is you're kind of not survival right now because you're literally trying to save other people over yourself, which is this great character moment. So I want you to roll a really fun thing. So we're going to find a way to make it cool. But like survival to me just feels a little wrong because like you're stepping out of that. Yeah. So I think you guys can feel this moment of power kind of unifying. You see Prang kind of staggered back, maybe even down on one knee, like reaching up, holding this dagger, kind of some blood dripping off of him. You see some of his blood like actually touching the dagger. How does the group rally around him to support him in this move that he is trying to do?
So one thing that I'll tell you that I do have, one of my talents is heightened awareness. So that's where this is going to come in to say, I see what's going on around me.
100%.
It adds a boost to vigilance to allies within short range, too, if they're engaged. So I don't know if people can use their vigilance to help me, if that makes sense.
I kind of like the idea that this takes you a moment to kind of like focus your intention and energy. Karlax, do you notice this happening?
I think so.
I would agree.
I think too, and I don't know how this plays into exactly what we're doing, but I feel like Karlax and Prang have connected over old stuff before, and Karlax loves to tinker with all this tech runic stuff.
Completely agree.
Prang has probably spent a decent amount of time just watching him do that.
Yep.
And so I think maybe some of what happens, and I don't know how, like I said, how we want to mechanize this, is Prang sees some stuff starting to happen and recognizes, even subconsciously, stuff that he's seen Karlax do, and that's kind of part of what pushes his action.
Love it.
I know that's kind of going past tense on how it inspires him.
Well, I kind of like the idea that maybe seeing this, Karlax actually makes their way like over to this, and like the two of you kind of like start doing it together.
Because
Okay.
these entities are kind of like what you are.
Yeah. So I think, okay. So after the APC has gone off Karlax sees these things, and so he heads over that direction.
I think you would try to get behind them.
Yeah.
And so you'd see Prang get hurt, would probably go to Prang trying to help Prang.
Mhm.
So what I think we'll do is I think we'll roll Prang's cunning, but Karlax's rune tech as kind of a group check. Because you are being creative in your way of applying this, and you're kind of doing it together.
What's your ranks in rune tech? Okay. And I have 4 cunning.
Groth, what are you
let me
doing?
double check and make sure. Yeah.
As relates to assisting on that?
If you want to, you don't have to. But I'm just creating space if people want to be a part of it.
Well, as far as assisting on that, I think the Groth probably feels like a swelling, an unexpected kind of swelling of power. So I just kind of try to throw some energy into that as well. I look over and like, Prang!
Like add force of will like through primal?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and am I wrong? He said that the 4 of us were all going to go next, and then we basically got Steve, and then he was trying to go, okay, now we're going on to them now. Like, wait.
I think you went already this round. As
You
far
were
as
at
your
the top of the
actual
order.
turn.
Was it? Okay.
But this is kind of doing one of those kind of group skill check big moment things.
Right, no, I know that, but I thought that we'd already done the last round, and he was saying that we were now at the top of the order, and all 4 of us were going to go because the bad guys had all.
He meant the rest of us that hadn't gone. So, like, I think there's a PC slot, then them, and then the rest of us go, if I understand it correctly.
Yeah, it sounds about right.
Okay, I was trying to figure out if Groth had actually gone this portion yet or not.
I believe that was the strike that you had done, where you had poked him and then he retaliated. This is all the same round still.
This is all the same round where I exchange the attacks with. This is all the same round I exchange attacks with the sergeant, right?
Yeah,
I believe so. Yeah.
That's a narrative system, man. That's a narrative system.
Okay. As for the assistance, Groth is kind of holding on, like a little staggered from his attack, his a previous attack, but I sense this like unexpected like surge of sort of power, and I look over and I see Prang, and I like Prang, and just try to like throw a little force of will like through primal at him.
Cool. Do you think that you are trying to augment Prang? Do you think you're trying to give more direction to the spell? Do you think you're trying to empower the thing that they're casting? How do you kind of see your support manifesting?
I think probably empowering him.
Cool. So let's do. I think I just want like a flat augment spell from you. Then, so that's a 2 difficulty, and we're gonna give you a boost die, and that's it. You better roll freaking well, dude.
All right, so primal, 2 purples and a blue.
2 purples and a blue, and I flipped a story point for you to upgrade it once because I want you to succeed.
Okay, so what is upgrade?
One of your greens becomes a yellow. If you only have yellows, you add a green.
Then I'm adding a green. 4 success, 2 advantage.
Thank frickin' goodness. So yeah, I think we see Groth kind of almost collect like an element of the earth and whispers into it, and suddenly the mud, I think, actually like comes up and latches on to Prang's ankles, helping kind of like lock him in place a little bit, give him a little bit more. So you are augmented, which means that you increase your all of your attributes by 1, all your characteristics by 1. So you're adding a green.
Okay.
With that boost, with the 2 advantages, you are going to take 2 boost die as you become solidified from this. Barney, I have no freaking clue what you can do from up there, but do you have any ideas?
I was thinking about I could weaken enemies or distract enemies by.
This is more
shooting
about
both,
empowering your group as opposed
Hmm.
to depowering the other people.
I could pull just what we need out of my pocket.
Cool. What do we need?
Let's keep this game family friendly.
Well, remember, it can only be a tiny thing.
Hey, let's see.
And thus, the horny bard trope has been slayed. Four has a chance.
I'm trying to think of what I could pull from the ether to help us out in the situation to empower Prangalar.
So I have an idea.
Ooh, share me that idea.
So you could pull a bag of metal, like BBs almost, out, and with the thunderclap that goes out, it could become like projectiles in that thunderclap as you
So,
toss it down there, and it starts reverberating them and sending them out almost as like little projectiles.
All right, I'm good with that.
All right. Then let's say that that's an item quality to this attack. So you're gonna have like rapid fire on this attack.
I was just thinking like maybe vicious
Okay.
1.
Okay. So we'll say that this is a hard difficulty.
Okay. So I got 2 yellow, 3 green, 2 blue, and 3 purple. Sound good? Let's go. I got 4 successes and an advantage.
Thank goodness. So I think what we see is Groth, you kind of like slam the heft of your axe down into the mud, and you kind of like kneel down and you've put your hand into the mud, and you are almost like channeling through it, since this is your magical creation, and you see some of that kind of like glow kind of come up and glow, and you see Prang starting to glow as him and Direction, they're kind of melding in some weird way we can't describe, as Karlax kind of like slides through the mud and actually sees that some of the runes are off on the pedestal, and like at the last moment reaches out and just like makes a slight change to one of the runes, and then the whole pedestal starts glowing brighter, more coherently, more pulsing in a more healthy appearing pattern. And suddenly, randomly, this little ball of nails falls out of the sky when the shield bioroids kind of lift their arms up and smack them into their chests, and this gong of power just rushes out. As Groth kneels, anchored by their axe, it almost seems to part around them. It's pushing almost all of this mud and dirt off. The last Caleris melee guy is thrown off. The sergeant is just barely standing as is, and this hits him like a freight train, and he's knocked on the ground and just flies off of this map. The only one that remains initially standing is the Caleris mage.
Oh no.
And I'm going to narratively put me at my strain threshold from the amount of power that has gone through me.
So you want to go out?
I like that from the narrative standpoint, yeah, because this was a lot of power that just got routed through me.
Okay. Can we have you at 1?
Sure.
Because we're about to wrap up this story for a while, and it's going to be hard to wrap it up if you're unconscious.
Yeah, so I go down to 1 knee. I'm like kind of stuck in that mud that was coming around me. It started
100%.
to like envelop my lower half, and my eyes are still glowing with the runes that were from
Andre.
the inscription.
Yeah, and I think like in some way, and I don't know how we'll come up with it later, but like you and Direction are kind of almost like stuck together, and so you're kind of like limp, laying against this pedestal, like latched to Direction, and you also feel as if they have been depleted a little bit too, along with the bioroids that have now powered down. The mage tries to create a barrier in front of themselves to split this blast, but they aren't able to. It batters them back. They are on the very edge of the island, and I feel like it's either Karlax or Groth get to like TKO this person. So tell me how that happens.
I feel like it's Groth, to be honest, because Karlax is involved in the
Sure.
thing going off directly.
I throw my axe at him, trying to hit him square in the chest.
100%. I feel like you still somehow have mud around you where the mud has gone everywhere else. So I think you kind of like scoop some of the mud up and like wipe it along the head of your axe, and then you just boom, throw it. And the mage is trying so hard to like protect themselves against the sonic wave that's still buffeting them, and your axe snaps their staff that they were using to cast their spell. And with that, all ability to kind of resist blows them off of the island. And as the mud is cleared, you see runes in the ground. And actually, a portal opens as the pedestal rises up. And you find yourselves facing a stairwell leading down. Praying, almost a whisper, Direction says, "Come find me. Come deeper."
And Prang, very bleary-eyed, still hazy from his experience, still stuck in the pedestal with what he thought was Direction, brings himself to his standing and pulls the dagger out of the pedestal and starts staggering towards his portal.
Arnie, we're just going to pretend you're down with the group.
Yeah. I just rolled off and just kind of, hey, I'm here.
I'll retrieve my axe, and then I can pick him up on our way
Just-
down in there.
Like
'Cause
luggage.
I'm at 10 strain right now. Like I can cast like a final healing spell, but my understanding is that like when I hit max strain, it'll like knock me out, right?
You're when you max out strain, you're asleep. When you max out your wound threshold, you're unconscious.
Right. So we'll get down into safety, and then I'll cast a healing spell on him to get him back to being stabilized.
Yeah, so the Archaeologist Guild, those that are still alive because of how aggressively you guys defended them, there are some healers, people of abilities. So for the intents of purposes, you guys are all stabilized. Groth, you're not about to take another 7 damage from this frostbite that's spreading. Barney's not going to bleed out. You're not necessarily getting better, but you're not going to die. So you guys stagger. You stagger down. And as you're going down, you hear the Archaeologist Guild kind of whispering behind you. No, this can't be. This is it. This is the archives. It's been here all along. And with that, you step into a chamber, and there are runic crystals kind of lining the walls of all different sizes and colors. Many large, many small, all intricate. In the middle of the room, there is a bioroid that looks just like Karlax, that's kind of connected out in a web to all of these different crystals. And in front of them, there's a crystal that's almost a larger version of the dagger that we see Prang currently holding. The two seem to be friends, though the bioroid clearly is fatigued. It's slumped against its webbing. You can see every now and then it focuses and something seems to happen. but it seems to be struggling.
I'll bring direction closer.
And as it gets closer to the crystal and you touch it, the crystal kind of melts into your dagger. And direction says, I did not realize how much of myself was missing. I am still not whole. But once, my previous wielder, we created this place. I became parts of myself spread throughout the city, bringing direction to all those who lived here. But when things went wrong, when the city was shattered, I was shattered. I was splintered. I became many small parts of myself, many not connected, many not able to communicate. But this was at my core. I am a shadow of what I once was, but I am now more than what your dagger was before. We have much to do, young herald. We have much, much to do.
And Prang just kind of nods, exhausted from his experience, not used to this amount of magic around him or through him.
And as that happens, the bioroid, the head kind of snaps up, looks around the room, and then dead eyes it right into Karlax. You've come back for me after all this time. You don't remember. Prime, what happened to your memory?
I don't know.
Do you remember what's coming, though?
I have heard some theories.
I think in this moment, remember, you have some memories from your knowledge crystal.
Right.
Okay.
Oh, that's right. I've forgotten what those visions were. That's right. I remember you saying that I had some. So, okay. So reverse that a little bit.
Everything you've done so far works well.
Glimpses, perhaps, but and I think Karlax takes a minute to look around and see if there's any crystals in here that look like the one that has embedded itself in him.
Many of them do. Many have runes that are more complex than anything that is remembered in this age.
Well, essentially, okay, in Steve's mind, what Karlax is doing is looking for an analog for the rune that's in the thing that absorbed into him.
Yep.
To see if he can touch that to make a further connection.
There are many crystals here in this room. None seem to respond to your presence.
Okay.
The bioroid in the middle of the room does try to kind of, Prime, you were going to prepare them. The darkness is coming. Please, I've held on for this long to give hope for your mission.
So I think at that, Karlax kind of turns to him and reaches out like both sides of his head, looks him dead in the eyes, and I have glimpses, but you must tell me all you can. Perhaps something will come back. Occasionally I get fleeting glimpses of things in my past, but much of it is deeply buried. Help me find it.
I've held on for so long. I can't tell you the centuries of knowledge that you apparently are lacking now. But the fallen are reawakening. The evil that once was is returning. You managed to delay it. You managed to preserve this world for eons. How long's an eon? I don't actually know that answer. It just sounded cool.
Ain't it like a couple thousand years or something?
Yep.
Eon works kind of. You've saved this world for eons. But even
1 billion years.
That's way more than what I'm going for. Several thousand years is what I'm going for. You have saved
millennia.
Ooh, You have preserved this planet for a millennia, but it was a stalling tactic, and it is starting to fail. The darkness that you have kept at bay, that your device managed to cast out, though at great cost, at many lives, more were saved because of what you did. And you remember the one image you really had was of yourself being in front of a device that you felt you had built, and you knew that this was the moment that the searing happened. Evil is returning to Minbara. I just hope its people are ready. I only have a little bit of power left. Maintaining this archive has depleted me beyond repair. I can offer but a small help to you, my prime, my family. And you see kind of all the light in the room suddenly come through the web to this bioroid, and it kind of coalesces on one of their hands, and they reach out and they touch your memory crystal, and the room goes dark as you black out. And as the bioroid in front of you slowly starts to fade into its ropes, everyone hears it say, "Cease your pointless struggles with each other. Karlax, the cult, they are both wrong, but also right. But a greater evil is on the horizon. If you don't stop your petty quarrels, then Minbara shall too fall, and the Celeste tree will soon be dark."
And there you have it, folks. That concludes that arc of Oblivion War. Obviously, as it's left, we might revisit it at some point, although schedules have changed and that play group is not currently meeting regularly, although we've had some talks about getting the band back together to do some fun stuff. We do have more stuff recorded, more actual play stuff, some with this crew. I know we have a Havoc Brigade and we have another Monster of the Week, both kind of shorter, obviously. But in any case, would really like to say thank you very much to Ben for running those games. Terry, Eric, Hagan, Steve, everyone for playing. Boy, it was a lot of fun, and I hope you all have enjoyed it. As I said, we've got some more stuff coming up. I don't know exactly what order we're going to release it all in, but some different systems and some enjoyable stuff. So thank you all for listening. If you have any questions regarding this, feel free to poke questions in the Discord. I believe everyone who participated is on the Discord. Now, how active everyone is, I can't say, but, we can be found. So thank you very much, and be kind to each other.
Intro and outro music by the band 12 Noon. You can email us at meandsteverpg@gmail.com. You can find us on Twitter and RPGs. Find us on Facebook at Me and Steve RPG Podcast, on Discord at Me and Steve RPGs, and as always, all of these links are in the show notes. Thank you, and be kind to one another.
How much for the cigar?
Cigar, $20, dog. You gotta go down the street to the store and buy that.
And the Celeste tree will soon be dark. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for playing.
Wait, what?
Oh, that's
This is-
a brilliant cliffhanger.
This is our break.
I also gotta say that's a brilliant cliffhanger. Shit.
But
Very well done.
Oh, it was all you guys.
No, you took our crazy ass ideas and made them coherent.
No. I mean, I didn't have any ideas until you came up with
Oh,
something.
Isn't that the purpose? Isn't this the whole purpose of collaborative storytelling?
Yes. Though I do hold out that slathering was something we never need to like collaboratively do again.
Oh, come on! You don't want to slather again?
Everyone wants a good slather.
Everyone needs a good. I'm gonna need a good slather after this. Being like beaten half to death.
I would argue slathering is the best when it's collaborative.
Hey.
That's what she said.